Hi everyone, Tom Slivick, and I'm with Supervisor Richard Forster. He's the chairman of the board once again this year.
Hi, Tom.
Good to
How
see
you
you again,
doing
Richard.
today?
Okay, you're bringing us news about a supervisor report, but also fill us in on what this is all about.
Well, this is a special meeting. City of Ione had the CDCR reps come in and talk about this infill project that they're going to have. We've been in the loop on this for some time, just as the city has, looking at locations. We'll bring up the map in a moment, but the location they've chosen was not their first choice.
Okay.
Their first choice was adjacent to Highway 104, right across from Castle Oaks Drive.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Why is it called an infill project, or give you some idea of the language?
Called infill because they've had 7 locations that they've been looking at.
Okay.
Now, really, it comes down to 5 locations because two of those locations, the California State Prison, Solano, and California Medical Facility are right next to each other in Sacramento.
Okay.
The other facilities, California State Prison, Sacramento, and Folsom State Prison, are right next to each other. So that's why it's narrowed down basically to 5 sites.
Okay.
Those sites almost immediately were discounted by the state because of their size. There's not enough property to adequately put an infill project. And the reason they call it infill is because you have existing prisons with property that's either being unused or vacant property.
Okay.
That they would put an infill prison in place.
Okay.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on if you like it or not, it is going to bring jobs to our area. But the 2 that they've narrowed it down to are the R.J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego and Mule Creek State Prison. So these are the 2 that, in the legislation, they identified those sites. Senate Bill 1022 that was authored in 2012, those sites were identified. The state has started their process and narrowed it down basically because Mule Creek State Prison has a lot of property. Now, they are going to be using some of the spray area that's been developed, but they have enough property there they could develop spray areas very easily. So these 2 infill sites that are identified, the R.J. Donovan site would have 1 housing facility with 792 beds.
Would this be maybe a good time, if the map isn't already up, to maybe
Well,
put
we're
that up
going to
a
get
little
to
bit?
Mule Creek in just a second.
Okay.
But, R.J. Donovan would have almost 800
Okay.
beds on vacant ground within the site. And then the double housing facility, and this might be a good time, 1,584 beds would be placed on the Mule Creek State Prison infill site. So if we could bring that map up, it would show the location off of Highway
there we go.
104. But before that comes up, we can keep talking about this. The other sites were included in the environmental document for the sake of study. They were originally proposed, so they included them. One of those sites was the California Institution for Men, which is located in the city of Chino in San Bernardino County. Another was the Solano State Prison. I think I mentioned that one, but California State Prison, Solano, California Medical Facility, that's one I mentioned. That's Vacaville. That's actually where Charles Manson was housed for a while. Good old Charlie, huh? And then California State Prison, it's interesting, the name on Folsom State Prison, they actually referred to it by the old name in their reprazzo or something like that in their documentation. But they studied all of those locations, and what it finally came down to is the double infill housing facility, 55 acres. It is going to be off the road now. They were told right off the bat that this is the wrong location for it when they had it placed right on the highway adjacent to the entrance to the Castle Oaks Golf Course. Why would you do that? So maybe they did that intentionally just to see if they could get away with it.
Or throw it as the first card?
Right. Well, that was a big issue when Mule Creek State Prison was built, is they put it right on the highway. Promises were made from the state that they would put a large berm in place to try and block the facility. Now, some people tell me that I never even notice it when I drive by. I can tell you I do, and a lot of other people notice it. How can you miss it? It's
Maybe
right
some
there.
people just look down the street.
Yeah, and this is not all positive coming from the state. I mean, there are impacts. In their document, it's an environmental document, so as they should, it looks at the environmental impacts, everything from the cumulative impacts, hazard and hazardous materials, noise, air quality, climate change, greenhouse gas emissions, hydrology, geology, soils, visual, light glare, cultural resources, biological, traffic and circulation, and land use and planning, employment, population, utilities and service systems. So I know the Water Agency is going to be submitting a letter. ACTC is going to be submitting comments on the Highway 16 relinquishment, which I never noticed this until I went through the documentation a second time, but they do indicate that the primary local access to Mule Creek State Prison is provided by Ione Michigan Bar Road, also known as State Route 104. So they're not looking at the State Route 99 as the primary access that employees take. They're looking at State Route 104 on Michigan Bar Road. So that leads me to believe that it gives more credence to the question of whether they should be addressing the relinquishment. That relinquishment over 20 years will cause that highway drive time to be as much as a half an hour longer. So it will impact, and it will, with a stop and go, with eventually having 16 stoplights there, it will affect greenhouse gas emissions from the cars. That's one issue. The Water Agency, I know, is submitting a letter based on the impacts to their infrastructure system. The state believes, and there are 2 scoping sessions that they held, the state believes that they have plenty of room in the system based on the capacity that they've already purchased when Mule Creek State Prison was put in, and I know they will argue that they have sufficiently decreased their use of water based on low flow emitters and things like that that they've installed at Mule Creek State Prison.
Okay, Ione's been through this process before with Mule Creek coming on board.
Right.
But since they've experienced Mule Creek, what do you hear that they feel that as some of the major issues that maybe weren't mitigated as well as possible with Mule Creek?
The wastewater issue is a big one because no matter how you slice it, Mule Creek does not flow in the summertime, or should not flow in the summertime. There are pockets where it does flow, adjacent and down of the prison. Who do you attribute that to? I know Mike Israel from Environmental Health with Amador County has done testing of the water that's in the creek. He can find no constituents that say it's polluted. But I think what's happening is they are irrigating above the prison, above the creek, and it actually, after it's put in the ground through the spray system, it actually filters down through, and some of it may end up in the creek.
Is Mule Creek a member of ARSA?
They are not, but that's the other thing. ARSA, City of Ione,
Seem to be one
City of Sutter Creek want the state to participate in a regional fix to the wastewater system. They want that solution to be regional. We believe the regional California Regional Water Quality Control Board and State Water Board want that solution to be regional. So the state, we believe, and I can't say this definitely, but I believe the state is looking at expanding even more in the future on that Mule Creek site. Now, it might be 20 or 40 years down the road, but they have originally, the Mule Creek site was big enough to house 6 prisons. That was in the original design, and I got that from people that work in the system. Now, they haven't gone anywhere near that. But Mule Creek is an ideal site for them because they have lots of room. So why wouldn't you want to go there? This Infill Project, when we pull it up on the screen, you'll see how close it is to Mule Creek State Prison. The reason they're doing that too, Tom, is that they can spread their administration costs. You don't need to have a separate warden. You don't need to have a lot more personnel.
Some of the things for the taxpayer, that's a good thing.
It is, and primarily they're going to employ people in the community. Those people are going to purchase houses. So it looks like it could be a positive for the city of Ione and
Now, Richard,
Amador County.
How many correctional officers do you think would be needed? Have any idea yet?
I knew you were going to ask that.
Did you
That's
say it
what I
was
was trying to
something
find
like
that right away.
1,500 inmates?
An estimated 530 staff would be employed at a double infill facility. So if
That's
this
totaled?
that's total. If this facility, and that right now that's their estimate. I've been told that placing the prison in off the road causes them a few more security issues. They might have to have a few more personnel to monitor that segment between Highway 104 and the prison. Obviously, that's where things happen. When you have blank spots where no full-time monitoring is occurring. Now, they might be able to get away with that by putting up cameras, too. So right now they're saying, or I have heard, that they would need to hire just several more employees to monitor that area on a security basis. They're going to have a fully lethal electrified fence put around this facility. Some people like that, some people don't. I'll tell you what, I haven't heard too many people say they don't like it. If we have, even though these are level 2 inmates, they are still inmates that we don't want out in our community. We don't want any escapes at Mule Creek or at the infill facility. They're going to have low emitter lights that are going to supposedly go more towards the ground rather than emit
I was going
upward.
to ask about that. That seems to be one of the things that you don't seem to be able to mitigate, but it seems like maybe they're coming up with some way to mitigate that night light glow that Ione must go through all the time.
They're called high mast lighting. So the lights would be angled in towards the facility and perimeter security zones. They say what they found is that actually allows them to have better security rather than the big lights that are up on top shining everywhere. They also, and this might be a bigger impact, they're going to have at least 6, let's see, how many of the guard facilities, guard towers, they'll have at least 8, they say typically 8 armed perimeter guard towers, which actually are going to be higher than the lights in most cases. So we'll have to see what happens here, but I have been told this is a done deal, but the community needs to come in by Monday and submit all of its comments. The county already has a rough draft of a letter prepared of the impacts that we think are there. One of the big impacts is the $800 that they pay per inmate. That $800 is split between the city and the county. So $400 per inmate, that's a one-time shot. That's all that's authorized by the state. Frankly, we don't think that's enough money. Even though they pay their impacts for DA and other court costs, this is nothing like a developer. If a developer came in, they'd be paying a lot more.
It's a one-time cost for
It's a one-time
$800 for each bed, more or less?
It's a one-time allocation of $800. So, we want to take a look at that map, or can we bring it up real fast?
Let's take a look at it.
If we can bring it up.
Okay.
But anyway, I know City of Ione, you asked about comments. City of Ione is very concerned that when the prison basically doubled in population, they got no impact for that. The county is concerned about that too. We don't feel we got that $800 mitigation split between the county and the city. And the city is also concerned about law enforcement, that there's an increased impact of them being the closest provider to the city of Ione and law enforcement.
Does that happen because of visitors as well?
Mostly because of visitors. That's where most of the problems are going to come from. If you look at the arrest log, in the local rag, you see a lot of arrests that seem to occur from out of the area.
Okay, so we've got to go, but that meeting is the 4th, right?
That's correct. Meeting will be on...
It's Tuesday, 1 o'clock.
At the February 1st. Friday, February 1st at 1 p.m.
I'm sorry, February 1st, 1 p.m.
At the County Administration Center.
Okay,
And
we have to run for a break.
Okay, Tom.
Positives and negatives about that, so you want to weigh in on that at the Board of Supervisors meeting. Let's go to our break.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.